What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Download Queue, episode 29. Your new favorite place to talk about games every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here at twitch.tv/slash Badlands Backlogs. As always, joined by the wonderful Kyle the Fish. How are you doing?
Doing really good.
Really good with your imaginary vodka. Hey.
Yeah, no. I said I was drinking straight vodka. I'm not. That's awful. Could not do that. I can't even do vodka shots. There's one time, the thing like a couple years ago now, did a vodka shot and it went wrong and I just couldn't breathe. It was just like a dry heave as the vodka went down and through my nose. It was just a mess. And I think that's the root of my now current vodka problems.
Just like internal avoidance.
I think it's a body reaction.
Yeah.
Same thing to watermelon. I won a watermelon eating contest as a child, and then I immediately threw up. I don't know if that's even real anymore. You know, when a story you get so far removed from it.
You
My
got.
my laundry's done as well. I
Let.
don't know if that came through.
No, you're good. You're good. Watermelon contest. Love that.
Anyways, yeah, that was a lot. Yes, I'm not. Maybe I am drinking vodka.
Who knows? It's Sunday. Party it up.
Sunday fun day.
Exactly. This week we're breaking down all the news about Halo TV series being canceled, Sims 5 being canceled, the Xbox 360 store being shut down. Kyle, everything's falling apart. But first, look back at the week of what we've been playing this week. Because you've been on some stuff. You've been on a couple new games. I've been on a couple new games. It was a very productive week, I feel like, for the both of us.
Yeah, thanks. What are you playing?
Oh, what am I playing? I mentioned to you, I finally finished Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth 70 some hours later.
Yeah, so
Started,
yeah, talk about it
yeah,
fully. Like you beat this game. It came out what, January, right? Is
January,
that
yeah. Uh,
and
could have
it's
had it done
July
sooner
21st.
outside of life stuff. Uh, Super good. Yakuza series in general is something I not avoided, but something just passed me by until the previous title came out on Game Pass, just Yakuza Like a Dragon. Downloaded it on a whim after that E3 conference where they announced it was coming out, and I no lifed the shit out of it for a month or two. Everything done, side quests, mini games, all the achievements except one, which one day I will go back to, but it is extremely challenging. And just super fell in love. Didn't have any history with characters, which is fine because that was sort of the start of their new storyline. Introduced an entirely new cast, had some throwbacks to the old games, so people that were there like, hey, this character's still here, whatever, yada yada. Went back to some of the old ones, got kind of caught up. Infinite Wealth finally came out, and it very much set up where we're fully bringing in new characters. The Kiryu, who you played as in the first seven, they had it in the trailer, so not spoiler, got cancer, slowly coming up at the end of his story, making amends with everything. Let's fully tie in uh, Kazuma into the new game. Uh, it's a change from the old series. If you've ever seen gameplay, the old ones are very much like old 3D style beat 'em ups, where these last two iterations are turn-based RPGs with QTEs kind of involved. So you do an ability where you either have a homeless guy spitting fire on people, have a quick QTE for bonus damage, but they kind of added in a 3D element where you can physically move your characters around the world still and kind of line up. So if you hit enemy A, you can throw them into an enemy behind them, throw them into a car on the street for bonus damage, throw them into a teammate, stuff like that to kind of do combos and stuff. So they really branched out on combat from what a basic RPG is. And it's kind of where like the high points for the game for me are a lot of which I'll dive into my review as I finish writing it. A lot of the story beats in this felt very rushed. A lot of the emotional twists in the last one that I was expecting to be followed up on here fell really flat. The story in general, especially the last couple chapters, very questionable, and like they're trying to wrap it up without fully diving into how this 15 plus long year story should have gone. It's just a lot of questionable decisions that really took away from the overall experience for me, sadly, for story wise. But gameplay still solid. I would argue the last previous title is one of the best games on the Xbox One generation. Like, super solid all the way around, even if you're not an RPG guy. The story alone goes from off the wall, crazy, you're fighting a giant Roomba sweeping up people in the streets, to some of the most, like, legitimately tear jerking story beats that, like, isn't afraid to break down what typical, like, masculine characters are. Like, it dives deep into trauma and headspace issues and coping mechanisms and a lot of stuff you're not really expecting if you look at kind of the goofiness of the game. So it blends a lot of that, which I really appreciate. But yeah, 70 some hours later, credits are finally rolled. I don't even think I'll be going back this time to get trophies and achievements like I did before, just because that last story bits really broke it for me, and I kind of had enough of it. We'll see. Enjoy my time still. Again, would have been done way sooner, but personal life got in the way and kind of took me out of it for a while. And I think we're getting up ready now. Ryuga Kotaku, the studio, just announced they're announcing their next project here. I think in a month or two, some showcase later this year. So not a long time to wait for the next installment of whatever this turns into after Kiryu
Yeah,
has
and then
stepped
we're
away.
also we're seeing whatever the TV show is at Comic Con this coming weekend, because that's next. We'll have Comic Con stuff to talk about next week.
Oh, is it this weekend?
Yeah, it's this coming weekend.
Dope. Yeah, I almost forgot about
Yeah,
that till you mentioned that. Yeah, I'm excited. It's
yeah. That show is coming out. I'm intrigued by whatever that is going to be.
I believe the show so far, just based off character, the main character, Kiryu, is the one they've kind of sunsetted in this. So either like start from the beginning of the story or just its own original side story set back in the day. So
Oh yeah, I just production though. I feel like this kind of came out of nowhere, and they're like, "Hey, we're coming out, and here's Comic Con." It's like, "Oh, okay. Like, what is it?" Right? We've only seen the one picture, right? So
yeah,
I'm intrigued by more video game adaptations, because, as we see, not all of them should be made.
or followed through with. Yeah, yeah, I'm excited.
Like,
It's with the way the game is, it very much could be like super campy, like old Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan type thing as far as like combat and stuff goes in the show. If they really go like make it old school, like that could be really fun. I could see. Like I said, the stories in them, if they follow or just make up their own story that kind of follows the games, like that shit hits. And there was times I was like, oh, like I wasn't expecting to be hit like this in a game like this. Like they have a lot of cool material to pull from if they wanted to, that could easily be translated for the series.
oh, we'll see.
We'll see. That's it. We did a little bit of Concord with you. Played a little bit of Concord outside of that. Did a little Destiny. You attempted to hold our hand, which was a wild night that I think about it, because we said it then, but we did a little bit of like the very beginning missions, jumped into Lightfall missions, and then immediately jumped into the Final Shape starter missions. We were just kind of all over the place when we were playing that.
We really were, yeah. The other person we were playing with, yeah, just clicked into Final Shape, and we're like, "Oh shit, you can play it!" But they only let you do the intro mission. They let you like load in the one that unlocks the Pale Heart location, and then you have to buy the actual expansion, which makes sense. That was a good way of doing it. But yeah, and then we went back to Lightfall. So, but yeah, Concord. Open beta is this weekend. It'll be over probably if you're not listening live by the time you're listening to this. Uh, Concord is so interesting, because this past week I was like, damn, I miss Concord when the closed beta ended and before the open beta started this weekend. And then I was excited for the open beta, and we hopped in yesterday, and we played a good amount. I played a good amount yesterday, with and without you. Sorry. Uh, and it's fun, but there's just nothing that gives me any belief that this game isn't just going to be dead in the water when it comes out. Also, I was listening to Gamertag Radio. It, is supposed to release a day or two before the Call of Duty beta drops.
Oof.
This game is so dead. Like, and I just feel like it's being sent out to die. Where this is really fun to play. Concord is incredibly fun to play. Once you start getting the hang of the characters, and once you understand that it wants you to switch roles every round, each character sits within a role, so multiple characters will fit the role of ranger, and they are typically more long range. Or then you have a tactician, which is, if you're watching the stream, that's Daw, the character I'm playing on stream right now. They're a tactician, and all of these things, these roles have bonuses that you get applied to yourself, like your player. So as you switch each round, they'll stick with you. So for example, the tactician gives you, I think it was a faster reload speed. If I'm wrong, it doesn't matter. The game's gonna die anyways. But like, you get faster reload speed. So then when you switch role to the ranger the next time, your weapons get longer range and faster reload speed. And then one of them, I think the breacher role was or the tank role gave you more. You accepted more healing. Does that make sense? Yeah, you got healed better. So and you could stack these on, so all of a sudden you have 3, 4, 5 of these bonuses, and that's really interesting. And it honestly was fun to mess around. And then I don't know. I didn't feel it though.
I
Like
was gonna say that when we
the
were
games
playing.
move fast enough where I don't know how much that actually does. Is it? I see the icon on your between rounds. I see that I have buffs, bonuses, and such, but I don't know if that was felt. Um, so like, who knows there? Yeah, like that's the only thing. Like, but it's fun. The characters, I don't know. It's a fun game, but I just don't. It's not worth $40, but it's designed and built with the cinematics. It's intending. They don't want microtransactions. That's why it's $40. But I just, in the world of so many great high level free to play shooters, this doesn't compare to some of them for a $40 price tag.
No. Yeah, that was the night we played together. We were specifically trying to play that way, doing the switching every time, trying to get those buffs and stuff. And doing that, I felt, yeah, I was like, I don't really feel or notice a change one way or another, whether it was me or people I was facing. Which I imagine as more characters and stuff like that gets added, that's just gonna be a balancing nightmare later on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then maybe it's like they let you do multiple copies of it too, I believe. So, I mean, you can just maybe if you focus in on them, like a specific bonus, then you feel it. It's interesting. So, but I mean, that's kind of the only gimmick there. Other than that, it's a tight 5v5 shooter with decent game modes. People kept dropping out, but there's no penalty right now, and who cares? It's a beta. Like, so even though it was frustrating, it made matches imbalanced. Like we had a couple when we were playing where it was like, oh man, we're getting destroyed. But I mean, the ending score was like 125 to 27. But at one point, it was almost 125 to like 19 or like 16, and we got that point back, and we made it respectable like at the end, and it was still fun to play at the very end of the day. So I don't know if it was true that they're doing some type of single player PVE style thing. Man, I mean, if that got people to pay $40 and kept this game going, like that'd be cool. But we'll see. I don't have any hope for it. I'm so interested in seeing what Sony now does with it. Like where it comes is, the open beta is going to be ending this weekend. So like at some point we're going to know. Like it's supposed to be coming out in like a month. So we'll find out pretty quickly, like if it stays the path. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be successful if it does.
No, that's what I told you. I fear and feel bad for the team behind this, just for this being their first project. How like lenient Sony's gonna be with it. Like, hey, it's your first try. You did something new. It didn't quite work out. Move on. Or if like they're just gonna be gutted after this and moved on to other projects elsewhere.
Do you think if they put it into PlayStation Plus, like that would be enough to help sustain it? And do you yeah, and do you think like should Sony invest in it even more? Like should they say no, we're going to commit Sea of Thieves committed and 6 years later it's on another platform or however long it's on another platform selling, right? Who would have thought when that game came out years later it would be selling on a PlayStation 5 and people are buying it and enjoying it, right? That game just I mean No Man's Sky, right? Do you think this game can be that?
I mean, you would hope. I don't see. I wish it was as easy to be like, oh no, because player numbers, obviously. Because yeah, you brought up Sea of Thieves, and like, I was there in the betas, I was there in the alphas. I saw how rough that was at the start, and people stuck with it. But this so far, when you compare it, even I mean, it's not fair comparison, but like Helldivers 2, the other cross-platform thing they released earlier this year, arguably a sleeper, not sleeper hit, but like breakout hit that people weren't expecting it to be. And when you see this on Steam getting just like over 2,000 players in an open beta where it's like, hey, come try this. Whereas Helldivers, when that launched, was what, 500,000? Like, albeit that had influencer help, Twitch streamer help, whatever. I don't even see them going that far with Concord yet. Like I don't see them doing sponsored streams with bigger names. I don't see I haven't seen a lot of like advertisements or commercials in general. So it
Which
feels even on their end they're not really trying as far as marketing and stuff goes, I guess.
yeah, and that's either like this is going to be what it is. This is a part of an old PlayStation strategy that we're not following like as hard as before, with the live service push. So now we're going, it is what it is. Like we're going to go ahead with the plan. Here's 2 betas. Game comes out later. And at some point we're probably going to move then internally we're probably already moving on working on something else. That's why they are not active on social media. They're not pitching this game to people. They're just letting it be what it is. Now they also could come out this week and say, "All right, we hear you, and we're going to push it to 2025, and we'll come back with more then." And maybe it comes out with some campaign and more instructions on stuff and more like on the tutorial. There's no tutorial that teaches you these crew bonuses. If you do go into the menu into like uh there's like a section when you're in a match you can press start and then it'll tell you how to play their settings and how to play, and there's a huge document with a bunch of words that in there it explains how the crew bonuses work and how to get them and why you want to switch characters and roles each round. It's not a tutorial, it's a beta, but like how are they going to show that? So is it in through some type of campaign that shows off these characters and gives us a story and justifies a 40 price? Sure, but I just, yeah, if it comes out, if they stick to the plan, then this is just, it is what it is, and they're gonna let it be what it is, and that is what Concord is.
Yeah. Which that
But
I
they
mentioned
could
last
delay it.
Yeah, I mentioned last week I wish they would have done better lead up with the characters specifically. Like I mentioned Overwatch stuff, but like I wish they would have been releasing vignettes getting you associated with them, what they can do, backstories, character design. Like I wish they were doing that even just to get people hyped to explore who the characters are and get into it.
Yeah, because so far we've had 2 cutscenes, or I guess like the starting cutscene and then 2 weeks, so 3 in total. And so like we're just sticking with one crew, about 4, I think, or 5 characters, and but like there's 7, 8, 9 more that we haven't even been introduced yet in the story. Which what? So I do. I care. I don't know. It's interesting. It's like, why would I care about the story that much? I mean, when it comes out, maybe that's when there's a bunch of like cutscenes, and after every match, you are being cut away, and I don't know. Maybe cutscenes are tied to character level. You know, like that. I could see how it can work, but it's just nothing's there. This is the beta is just the multiplayer game, and if that's it, this isn't enough.
Yeah, it's wild when you said that it's out a few days before the Call of Duty beta. I hadn't even put that together yet myself. And yeah, that's a death sentence. Like for years people have purposely moved their games around to avoid Call of Duty week, and you even do that on the beta, like that's not going to go well. Plus, we're still waiting on arguably the PC variant of this that's much larger, Valorant, also coming to console this year. So I feel like that if you were trying to gather and gain more of that PC Steam player base, Valorant's only going to get larger when that happens. And they're not going to be incentivized really to try out or check this out later on.
Yeah, it's a bummer because it is fun.
Yeah,
Like
it
I
has
think
the
it is a fun game. I like once you get moving, like the man, last night we were getting destroyed by Roka and it became so fun trying to hunt them down in the sky and they were so good and like Teo is so annoying with those grenades and
the
when
homie.
but like I'm frustrated by them, but I'm also like, oh my god, I felt like it's balanced enough where I'm not annoyed by them at least, you know, to the degree where it's like that's unfair. It's like, oh yeah, look up, they're just hovering in the sky wide open. You know, like it's not like they're overpowered. There's just I'm not looking where they're at sometimes. So I don't know. It's interesting. So we'll see. I don't have any hope for it, but
Best of
this
luck,
feels like
Firewalk.
pretty close. Here's the thing. It's like this feels done, right? I mean, I don't think the game is done in terms of like being a full game worth $40 price tag. But do you think outside of balancing, like there's much that they need to work on? Like this comes out in a month.
No, that's what I said. I was like, with the short time in between, there's not really like massive overhauls they could do outside of bug fixes. Which even that on console, I've almost had no issues. I had one instance last night where I spawned underneath the map. Um, I have seen more issues on PC side. Actually, I was watching a streamer earlier today where their mouse, even it was if even though the game was in like a full screen windowed thing, their mouse would still go off screen onto their other monitor and like
Oh yeah, it would tab
close.
out. Yeah,
Yeah. So like I've seen
yeah. They
stuff like
tweeted it. They
that.
actually posted about that.
Did
Yeah.
they? Okay. Like that was honestly the only issue I've really seen so far about it. Like it's solid all the way around. Like you said, there's no
But that's a huge issue though. Like when you're playing mid match and you're all of a sudden you're no longer on that screen. Like I've had that happen, but I pressed like Windows and tab on accident.
Oh yeah, but there's no
um,
like game crashing bugs or not like
no. Yeah, you're right.
nothing detrimental that like ad news sites are actively reporting on. Like it's all fixable stuff. There wasn't like you said, there's no real balancing issues. Like I've seen stuff online where people had combos that are like impenetrable with shields and stuff, but like your general matches, no, there wasn't really. It's solid, but solid isn't good enough right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if they go ahead with a $40 price tag and don't put it in PlayStation Plus, they're okay with this dying or becoming some nice little cult classic thing, which always could happen, of course. Like it is a fun game. I like that's the thing. But I think if they shift and also put it in PS Plus, at least some one of the tiers, that would really help this game and just give it a year or two, hopefully. You know, at least a year to let it build, let the story. I mean, they have a story, right? They have these cinematic cutscenes that they're claiming are really, really high quality. They're good. They're putting a lot of effort into. That has to like hit hopefully some type of conclusion, and then we can say, all right, this is good or not, and this is worth playing. So we'll see. But I really hope they put it in PlayStation Plus because it is a fun game, and it'd be great for once the cutscenes start rolling out, and maybe the story is like, oh shit, this is really interesting. That would get people. Oh, let me hop in. I have PlayStation Plus, you know, and then it's oh shit, this is really fun. You guys should buy it. It's on Steam, and then boom, kind of let it build that way. So if this is a live service push, right? They have to, just like Helldivers, kind of let that happen. So we'll see. Maybe this is just, hey, this is just a proof of concept, baby, and it's fun.
Yeah, I if they did the free to play, I feel like I would return to it. Like it would become like X Defiance for me. With
Well, not free to play,
well, in PlayStation Plus,
just
like have the
just in PlayStation Plus, because I
yeah.
think like I think it would be really hard to pivot now back from $40 and then keep the promise. Like they don't want microtransactions in the game. Like that's the whole intention behind the $40 price tag. So I feel like at that point it's a whole different game. You know, it would really change a lot of stuff. I think the only way forward for them is PlayStation Plus. I love that there's no microtransactions in this and Helldivers outside of the war bonds, but it's all cosmetic. I don't give a fuck, you know? But once it's built around like we need to have these microtransactions to make it profitable, I just lose so much interest in those types of games so fast.
One that's not even I don't want to say sustainable, but like what people are supporting anymore. Because that's when Overwatch 2 came out, they were doing that, and this past year they quickly turned around and were like, "Hey, new heroes don't gotta buy anymore, just giving them out for free." Like they saw kind of the damage that did, and now it is just cosmetics as far as their marketing and microtransactions and battle pass stuff goes. So, which shout out to Overwatch on the side. I want to give a quick shout out before we continue on. Be done this week, but they are doing a free weekend on the new hero coming out. I think next month, early next month, mid next month. So kind of like a test period. Super fun new healer class that has your just automatic fire on your right trigger. Does both healing and damage depending on if you're hitting your teammates or not. So kind of a fun new mechanic that just automatically switches. You don't got to worry about. So check her out. Do you want to bring up Dungeons of Hinterberg at all? Since you said you got a couple hours on that.
Oh yeah, playing Dungeons of Hinterberg on Xbox, both Series X and S. I go back and forth. I love it. It's so great. Um, this is in Game Pass. It is a fun game. It is. I When the trailer came out at whatever Xbox conference it came, whenever they showed it off first, it was a game I was like, that looks awesome. I don't want to see more. And it was just a quick snap decision. God, that tunnel fucked me up when I played. Sorry. I couldn't get it. It was so silly. Yeah, I was like, I don't need to see more of this. It's in Game Pass. It's something I'm gonna try. Cool. I'll look forward to it when it's out. So going in, I don't really know too much about it, and it really is just a charming Zelda-like game. It is. You go into these. You play as Louisa, who is a lawyer who is done with her job. She needs a vacation, and she comes to Hinterberg, where I think it was 3 years ago some magic happened and 26, 28 dungeons appeared around Hinterberg with Dungeons of Hinterberg. And now it's like a tourist destination where you come and you become a monster slayer and you just go around and you can go into these different dungeons and slay monsters and stuff. You in the morning you choose a dungeon and go out and do that, and then you come back at in the afternoon and you get to go around the city and talk to people, increase your relationships with them and such. Your relationships, as you increase them, each character there's probably like 12 to 16 different characters, just basing it off of memory, that you can form relationships with. Each one will give you different bonus and upgrades. So, like, some will give you an extra health potion, some will give you increased stamina recharge, stuff like that. So, you can then start playing, like, oh, I want to upgrade this specific thing, so I'm going to go hang out with them. You have to worry about the level of like amusement you have. Like, I've been turned away from some people. It's like, they're like, "Oh, you're not smiling. You don't look that fun." So I don't. Go away. And it's like, "Oh, increase your amusement, and maybe they'll talk to you." It's like, "Whoa, oh, all right, that's really interesting." They're like the social media type person that I wanted to talk to, and it's like, "No, you're not cool enough." I was like, "That's really interesting." um, And then the combat is kind of not hard. It's pretty straightforward and simple, but it can kind of sneak up on you and challenge. And if your gear is not leveled up for sure, those challenges are the difficulty kind of spikes pretty difficult a lot if you don't have the high enough gear for that. I've seen. So it's a fun game. I can't wait to go or to get deeper into it. Give it a try. It is a fun little game. I haven't even got into like this type of stuff on. If you're watching stream, you're like snowboarding on ice and shit. It's like have not got into that, but it's fun. It's charming. A fun little story to it. Intrigued to see where that goes to.
Nice, fun. This week was definitely like a big Game Pass week. Between that, Flintlock finally came out.
Which is a conversation point too, that they released 3 to 4 games all on the same day, or that like Kunitsugami was like the day after technically, but it's like what the hell? Or a couple days later, it's like we just got 3 or 4 great Game Pass games, solid games at least, all at once.
Yeah, which not to say there's been a drought, but it's definitely been smaller stuff recently, and finally having kind of games they've been marketing and pushing themselves, Xbox at least, having those all come out before the fall hits has been nice new stuff to jump into finally.
Yeah, because I also tried and I tried Kunitsugami a little bit. You were playing that a ton today, though. I saw. What have you thought of it so far? Because I've discovered I did not get into an actual mission yet. Right? I was like, oh, I just did the tutorial.
Oh yeah, I've had a weird back and forth with this. I remember when they first revealed it, I was super hyped. I thought it was super stylized, like the art style, everything really caught my attention. But I quickly went into backing off of it, thinking it was going to be a Souls like or Dark Souls clone or something. Come to this year when they're marketing it, jokes. It's actually a partial tower defense game with action combat, which was a complete turn out of left field, but got me kind of excited for it again because I thought about uh, Brutal Legend back in the day, is what I went back to. If you ever played that or seen that, it was same kind of, hey, you have kind of an open world thing to go through, action combat, hack and slash, and then there's parts where you're full on building units, building troops, having go attack, whatever. This isn't quite that. It's more similar to Bloons Tower Defense, honestly, where yeah, you get dropped in what?
I was literally sitting here. I'm like, listening to you. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna play this game. I watched the stream earlier. I'm not gonna play it. And then you say it's like Bloons Tower Defense, and I'm like, fuck, I'm back in.
Yeah.
How dare you? What the fuck? Like,
No,
what? How
very...
is it like Bloons Tower Defense?
So yeah,
I did not get that by watching you. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play this game. This isn't for Kyle. Instantly got me back in.
So yeah, if you are on video stream, it drops you into a preset map with one straight path. You're trying to essentially escort a priestess maiden something to a gate to purge sort of the demonic energy there, whatever. So you get dropped in the area, and it'll tell you, hey, there's 4 villagers, 5 villagers, whatever, trapped around the map. Rescue them. So you go around, gather them, and then you can give them job descriptions. So that first you just get, I think it's a woodcutter, where they just have a simple axe. And then you could place them around the map in sort of the path of where the demons are coming from to get to the priestess. So obviously your woodcutters have a smaller area of effect zone where they could actually damage. Eventually get archers, so you want to place them higher up. They can shoot farther range, shoot below cliffs, and sort of strategize where you want them to be to defend her location. And then further buff their either damage or I think for the woodcutters you can eventually get where they'll full on chase down enemies outside of their normal zone. So you're really setting up the villagers in a way to have it tank heavy in the front, have your archers in the back, obviously, If there's waves that have more flying enemies, you can actively go change the villagers middle of a fight to kind of match your needs of what you want. And it just kind of repeats that. You go through a night cycle, fight all the waves. The priestess stops moving during the night so she can be defended. Morning comes, she continues going towards the point. You can go around, gather more resources. There will be, I forget what they call them, different kind of shrines throughout where they kind of act as barriers on the path to like push back enemies. If those get taken down, you have a carpenter you can send out to rebuild those, rebuild traps. Just a lot going on. You mentioned, especially when you hopped to my stream, that there was a lot of pop-ups, which nonstop every minute or two you're getting some new tutorial pop-up, which I appreciate to a point, but it gets very overbearing, and I feel like a lot of it could be put on the same one, just with different pages. But yeah, it's very, the pieces are there. It's something I can, if it garners enough and they make a sequel, I could see it being way bigger than it was. Your combat as your samurai is very basic with like 4 or 5 combos. I haven't really seen a way to upgrade your own damage or get new abilities or extend combos or anything. All the upgrades I've gotten so far have been for your troops. So fire arrows, piercing damage, extra damage, whatever it is. So it seems to be going more towards that compared to yourself and trying to micromanage your different villagers that you have. Still really like the art style. I very colorful, bright character designs, wild. Like from a visual standpoint, it's something that should be my thing. I'm still debating if I'm gonna at least beat it. I do want to return to it to see how deep it goes into those character building aspects for your troops. Just to see. Beating it and rolling credits still up in the air for me right now.
Yeah, the art style is so unique, and honestly, what a like the game itself is just. I even seen like people talk about it online and giving their reviews and shit. It just seemed like a lot of people are like this is something that a type of game that we wouldn't expect nowadays, which partly makes me want to try it and commit to it and give it a good go, and
Especially from a
such.
major
So
publisher. Like this isn't some indie thing. Like this is a Capcom developed
yeah,
game.
it's a
Or
Capcom game, right? Yeah, Capcom. They've been doing a ton this year. Uh, so yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, we'll see if I when I go back to it. It seems like it'd be a great like remote play type game on my backbone. You know, watching something on TV, pop this up once I understand what I'm supposed to be doing, then pop it up on the backbone and kind of just let some tower defense fun go. But that's cool. I love the diversity of these games.
yeah, it's. I mentioned it on stream earlier. It felt like either something that would have been like a 360 arcade game or just like a weird niche thing. Like this does not seem like it should have been a big AAA thing from a major publisher with no like not to talk shit about it. Like it's fun for what it is. It just yeah, it's a weird release with a bunch of weird stuff around it and a lot of waiting. I want to point that like if you're not fine with sitting around a little bit, uh, the way she goes down the path, you will be sitting there for minutes on end, just kind of aimlessly watching, waiting for the next thing to happen. Which again is kind of why I want to jump back in later to see like when that
That
gets
speeds up.
yeah, and when you have more troops, if you're actually going to need that much time to micromanage everything.
Yeah, like as she's moving, there's still things going on and such.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. I like the concept of a tower defense that also has a like a moving forward, like you're moving the payload forward,
yeah,
and then the fact that you're controlling your towers are villagers, other troops with you, and then I haven't played a game like that, but I understand the how it's similar to a tower defense. I get what you're saying with kind of like balloons at times, so it's something I'm gonna try eventually. But man, we're just eating right now, even though there's not a ton coming out. But
no,
Destiny,
it's
Diablo.
fun stuff to try at least. Which shout out to Game Pass because yeah, this is would have been a hard sell I think for a lot of people without trying it first. with that, move on to some news, I believe. How you feel about Halo, Kyle? What's your thoughts on Halo after
I don't
not
even know what that franchise is anymore.
after
It's been dormant.
not getting it at
It's been
E3?
dead.
Now it's extra dead. Series is officially canceled at Paramount as of this week, which I feel like people probably saw coming. I know second season was very like a roller coaster for people, especially you, and how they kind of ended it. But with let me see here. From Paramount, we are extremely proud of this ambitious series and would like to thank our partners at Xbox 343 Industries and Amblin Television, along with showrunner and executive producer David Weiner, his fellow executive producers, the entire cast led by Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief, and the amazing crew for all of their outstanding work. Paramount Plus said in a statement, "We wish everyone the best going forward." Sources say the show's producers, Amblin, Xbox, and the 343, will look to land the series at another outlet for a third season, and Paramount Plus is said to be supportive of a possible move.
Okay, hear me out. The third season, episode 1. Thanos shows up and snaps everyone out of existence, and then that's it. And then they just say we're rebooting it. Right?
Rebooting.
We do not continue the damn thing. It's so dumb. They fucked it up already. It's already too far gone. Yes, this cancellation is not a surprise at that. Like, the show wasn't Halo. It didn't give, if you didn't play Halo, you don't know why people like the Halo games. And if you played the Halo games after watching the show, you'd be like, oh, I don't know. I guess there's Master Chief in this. And I feel like you'd be like, wow, the games are so much better if you committed at least and played them all the way through and got the story. But damn, it's just not. Yeah, the show was just such a miss, and I don't understand why you took him out of the helmet so soon and you refuse to put him back. I get him taking it off. That's not a big deal. No one was against that, but it came off and never was on, and you created plot reasons to keep it off of him as like, see, well, we can't have him on in it because we need to show his face, so let's just create these arbitrary reasons so he's not in it. It's like, no, like it was so silly, and it just characters did stuff that they didn't do in the games that felt antithetical to the characters and like what in the games that we know. And yeah, it was a huge miss, and it just felt like when you hear like Jonathan Nolan say, "Oh yeah, I played Fallout and I fell in love with the games," and then he comes out and makes Fallout the TV show, you're like, "Shit, I believe that you really understand Fallout." And then you have Pablo saying, "I love the games, I play them, and we're gonna keep it true to the character." And you watch the show, you're like, "What game did you fucking play?" It felt like an ego trip.
Yeah, a lot of interviews I've
Really,
seen from him kind of threw me off of just him as a person. Sadly.
yeah. So it's just, yeah. So not surprised. I do. It's interesting, like them shopping it around. I hope that's like the IP, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, we want to get a season 3," and then it just becomes a reboot. I just, you can't continue whatever weird story they told because they went down such a weird path. Like it's about Chief and this random woman they made, alien woman who's a human. But when it's about Chief and Cortana, and they never got that, and there's so many ways, so many stories, so many things to portray that relationship and portray Chief's relationship with the UNSC and with fellow soldiers and fellow Spartans. Man, there's just he is just a blank slate almost, and you just let everyone else around him be the conduit of some type of story and emotion, and he just is like, it's just so I don't know. It seems so easy to me to just
You just need a really
I don't know.
good, like, Brothers in Arms space military show. Like,
I mean, yeah, pretty much. And then you can have this like on the back end, you have the UNSC and ONI stuff that this spy like espionage type stuff can be going on at the same exact time, and this government like thriller where it's like, oh man, like there's people who are actively in the government working against, like they want this war. It's like that's so fascinating, and it's so I don't know. It's fascinating how they messed this up so bad because it's just the show is not a Halo show at the end of the day outside of visual. Like it's Halo. We're telling you it's Halo.
There's grunts sometimes, and they're sometimes in armor doing stuff.
Yeah, like well, sometimes, but not for the Battle of Reach. We're gonna have them not even. We're not even gonna show you at all. We're gonna just do it off screen.
Yeah,
It's just choices. Like it was rushed. They're like it just that's like we. I mean, I think all TV today just feels rushed. Like these 8 episode, 10 episode seasons of TV that we're getting across the board. I'm not a fan of. Like I want it longer. I want the what's great about television is you're able to tell a better story because you have more time and you can let things breathe and stuff. And that's like Game of Thrones at its peak, right? They had enough time and they were did what they wanted to do until the later seasons when they fucked it up too. uh, but yeah, you just can't rush things, and this feels rushed. It felt rushed, and now it's canceled. So bye.
yeah,
Just
it
reset it.
sucks even more or a little harder just because we've seen how good it can be recently. At the same time, this was going on. Like Fallout, great. Last of Us, great. Twisted Metal, not that bad. Like we've seen how good these adaptations can be, and then just to have arguably one of the biggest franchises, most recognizable at least, fall so flat. Just
Yep.
hits in the feels.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. I I would imagine if they really want a season 3 to continue the story, like they're if they commit, I understand committing to it, right? You already put so much money in. You just treat the other 2 seasons as very, very different, and then you adjust from there. We're on. I'm pretty sure the season 2 ends like you're on Halo. Spoilers. I don't give a fuck. It's canceled.
No,
uh, or they're about to get there. So like I get if you hit the ground running with basically Combat Evolved, the story from Combat Evolved on, everything else that came before, fuck it. You can totally salvage whatever, but damn, it has to be very different. But if they don't like push through, they don't get that soon, someone picking it up, let it sit. Don't give it another couple years. Figure out the games. Make an
figure out the
animated Halo
IP in
thing.
general.
Legends was the anime thing was solid, and there was some cool like the last little short for that one. I think the animation was super cool. So there's things you could do to keep it like that, the entertainment, television slash movie going forward, but let the live action things sit if for a while. Figure out the whole universe. It's all fucked up right now.
Never forget. Long live Halo. I'd like to thank the show, though, for bringing us Master Cheeks back in our earlier podcast episodes, for being a staple part of the episodes. Never forget Master Cheeks.
Master Cheeks. It's just why? Why did he need to do that? Like, how is that like so important to the character of Master Chief to have him have sex with the alien woman who was raised by the Covenant? Like, why? Like, what? I just
What was happening?
again, it felt like just a an actor's little ego trip to be the leading man in a big franchise, and it just the whole production was off.
Sadly, this week, Halo TV series wasn't the only thing canceled, as this probably affects me way more than you. We also got rumors slash kind of confirmation slash leaks of Sims 5 being canceled.
Good.
Good.
Just kidding. I have no opinion on Sims.
Uh, yeah, I would put this in here more of just how wild it is.
Because
I'm
didn't they announce like they're doing something new in the last 2 years, right?
so earlier than that. Sims 5 technically was announced October 18th, 2022. So yeah, 2 years. Sorry. I was thinking
Oh man, I like
earlier.
nailed that.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Shame. So yeah, 2 years openly announced. They had Sims influencers and streamers actively making content for the game, getting early access preview for the game. Like knee deep in the work for this after The Sims 4 came out 2014. So about to be 10 years in September. And just kind of sneakily cancel it. It came from designer's LinkedIn page, I believe, of previous work he's done. From a user called Sinich. And he has specifically Sims 5, Unreal Engine 5 for PS5 canceled, which has some people up in the air because at the same time they're working on The Sims 5, they're also working on Project Renee, which is kind of back and forth whether Project Renee was Sims 5 or not, as a lot of Maxis employees were laid off in April of this year with Project Renee in their work history, so people are just kind of putting two and two together. This Sinich user is the first one to specifically say Sims 5. So yeah, just kind of wild. Because Sims 4, like I said, has now gone on 10 years. There's something like $2,000 worth of DLC in that game if you wanted to buy everything for it now. And I believe with Sims 5, they're making it more of a free to play live service type of thing, which maybe that's where their hiccups came from, knowing EA. But just the amount of content and behind the scenes stuff we've seen, which we don't really get with games till years later. Like we've seen a ton of Sims 5 and what it was being built into, and the new, I don't want to say techniques, but like building stuff and design stuff and character creation and AI stuff behind it. Like we've known a lot and have seen a lot, and now it's just casually kind of not here anymore.
Yeah,
Weird.
it's interesting. I feel like whatever project Renee is that's the more like built to be live service thing, right? So like it makes sense not going forward with 5 and putting that more into Renee, Project Renee, if that's what it's going to be. But also, I mean, Sims 4, I feel like could just, I mean, just drop 4 and just be Sims, right? Like, but I guess at some point you gotta, I mean, maybe I will see it if they're not doing a next Sims, right? And they're leaving 4, I feel like that means they're either like letting the franchise be dormant for for a couple more years, you know, or it's Project Renee, right? Like, and that may be where those things they were working on already are being folded into Project Renee, you know.
Yeah, which you would assume, because yeah,
And then they're coming out at this like they say it's gonna be, you know, they're gonna coexist. So that's your straight up live and then live service. And as that builds and maybe more and more people move over, you just stop releasing games, right? Sims 4, there's no Sims 5, so you gotta eventually you're gonna move over to the thing that actually is getting updated. So because isn't it ideally like they were wanted some multiplayer, like a better multiplayer component to this, or am I making that up, or is that just people's wants?
I believe it was kind of included with like the live service side of things, of it being kind of like a semi MMO style thing. How closed off that would be, I guess I don't know off the top of my hand. But yeah, like you said, yeah, with Sims 4 being 10 years, like there comes a point where that engine and everything they built for that can only go so far without starting to look outdated, that they have to kind of do something new. But which this, if you're on video stream, this is all like Sims 5 update they did January of this year. So even beginning of this year, they were still pushing ahead and giving insights into what they were working on. So who knows with EA? EA is in a weird spot.
I
Also,
think with Sims especially, it's with all the DLC and such already added to 4. Yeah, like it's an interesting spot, and with people like being totally fine sticking with an old thing, you know, playing an older game, they're fine with it, especially if they already bought a bunch of skins and packs. So I don't know, it's kind of making sense not going forward with 5.
yeah, it's the definition of like what live service games wants to be. If you can have that much money of DLC content that people are actively still buying into, like that's what you want. That's where That's where your income comes in instead of putting millions and millions of dollars into whatever's next.
Yeah.
But sad to see. I was a big fan of The Sims. I have, I think, the 360 Sims 3, 100% achievement wise. So, ew. Which leads into the next thing, Kyle. Xbox 360 store shutting down on the 29th of July. Coming up a week away. Feels like the end of an era. I don't know. Were you big on 360? I think you got in kind of after, right?
What? No, I played all. I've had an original Xbox.
Okay,
I've had all Xbox. I've had every generation of Xbox.
there you go. Sorry, I thought you were
How
more on the
dare
Xbox
you?
One side of things. Sorry.
No, I got a Red Ring of Death. Unplugged it immediately. Plugged it back in, and it was fine.
Ew.
We don't talk about it.
I at least only had
No,
one.
yeah. I never had to take it in or anything. Like legit. Got rings, pulled it out, unplugged it, came back the next day, was like, let's see, and it just never. It was fine. So I don't know what it was. Anyways, that I mean, who cares about the store shutting down? It's are you buying stuff on Xbox 360 store still?
So I I don't care for that reason, but I care for the list of stuff that will just be completely unattainable now. Like the countless games, or they be indie games or whatever their developer program was back then. I forget. Um, all of those, unless they've been ported to other platforms or saved somewhere else, like all that content kind of just being deleted from history now. There is obviously they've done great on their backwards compatibility stuff, bringing stuff forward, but there's still hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of either games, pieces of content, DLC, what have you, avatar stuff, pictures, like a lot of stuff that's just kind of being taken away and deleted for good. So it's a weird, as far as like preservation in gaming goes, a weird kind of thing to see happen on one of the major platforms, I guess.
Yeah, we have videos of it.
Go on to YouTube, live
I
the
mean, think
memories.
about it though. I mean, I it's also at the same time. I mean, all the stuff in garage sales to just sit there or in trash, or there's a copy in the museum, right? Same thing.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
I know.
The 360 for me was like, to me that's still my probably my favorite generation of all time. So like just having any part of that gone, like, oh, that sucks. Like I have my Halo 3 special edition right behind me. I have my 360 hooked up in my TV downstairs next to my Lego stuff. Like I have that readily available to go when I want. And I jumped back beginning of this year actually. I think January I went back and played the original Darksiders on my 360 still. Because I never actually beat it and wanted to beat it. So yeah, I still 2024 jumped back onto it. Uh, this does online services if the game is still available or still going to be up. This is purely just like a store shutdown for now. So goodbye Xbox 360. Goodbye Blades. My Blades are gone. Best
No, they
dashboard.
have a.
We don't talk about that. It's bad.
They're also not gone. You could turn on the 360; it's still there.
Yeah.
Also, they do have a background now that you can have that are the blades.
It is a blade, and it is very minute. I
Well,
saw
don't
that.
complain. You
I
take what you get.
no. I saw it. And I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be hype. Like I was expecting like go through the switches. No, it's just the main. Yeah, 360 was a good time. Like that was probably like my peak for gaming and like as far as like quality stuff coming out and being involved in stuff. Like I mentioned it on here when as far as like multiplayer games go, like I still compare multiplayer experiences to my time on Halo 3 back then. I still compare like the nostalgia of that console to stuff now to a fault. And it was a more simpler time. I feel like I'm ancient when this was barely like 11, 12, 13 years ago. Ugh. For now, with the 360 going out, uh, I did want to give a quick shout out. I didn't have this in our show notes, but Bethesda has officially fully unionized. Yeehaw!
I think the biggest thing Microsoft has recognized the union too. It's wall to wall, and Microsoft recognized it, which is the good part. It's they should be able to move forward with it.
Yeah, they from the report here, officially the first Microsoft game developer to fully unionize under the Communication Workers of America, forming a wall-to-wall union of developers, including artists, engineers, programmers, and designers. Confirmed after 241 developers either signed a union authorization card or indicated that they wanted to unionize via an online portal. So, good for them. It's more of this needs to happen with how volatile industry is right now. And jobs being just up in the air and thrown around willy nilly. Shout out to Bethesda. And being one of the larger developers there doing it, I feel will hopefully give more confidence to the smaller teams to follow suit. Of, hey, sort of the jewel as far as our studios go was able to go through with this. We can too, sort of thing. Hello? Hello? I think Kyle's mic cut out, so.
Oh man, it did. I was.
Did it? Okay,
That's
I
a
was like, I
bummer.
saw it lighting up, I wasn't sure.
Oh, that's good that it lights up and I'm still muted.
Yeah.
Interesting. um, what was I saying? Oh yeah. I was saying this helps me. I kind of see this as it kind of shores up and makes it a little more clear that Bethesda is its own. It operates on its own, even though it's under Microsoft. Still, like they report to Matt Booty, but they kind of run themselves under that umbrella, and now they have a protection of a union too. So, Bethesda can be Bethesda under Xbox still, and I think that's what we want, right? And again, I hope that means we do get cross-platform games. I think that's just what is beneficial to everyone, and it means if people are going to buy Bethesda games on Steam and PlayStation, then that means Game Pass probably is going to keep those day one releases. So I think that's now where I'm leaning. That's what's going to happen. But Microsoft game studios need to be first party
Yeah.
in Game Pass. I didn't finish that thought.
In Game Pass. Yeah, it's still, it's, I guess there's a nice positive story to finally see after, again, their year so far as news go. So, take any sort of win we can get for the workers and teams there. I'd rather be reading this than, say, more studio closures. So, with that, though, I think that pretty much wraps up everything we had, unless you got anything you want to throw in or quickly promote and push out.
No, I'm just streaming again Monday, Wednesday, Friday, playing games. I'm not going to commit to BioShock anymore. I will play it, but stuff keeps coming up, and I play other things on those days too. But I probably will force myself to play BioShock tomorrow if you're listening live. That's Monday. But yeah, that's over on twitch.tv/KyleTheFish30.
Good. Yeah, I think for me, maybe like I said, I want to do at least another stream or two of Kitsugami just to see kind of where that goes. And I started work on Infinite Wealth Review I mentioned earlier, which the rate this is going will probably be the longest one I've done. Which doesn't matter because people don't care about the written stuff anymore, anyways. I got to work on video stuff. But till then, we'll
Hey, you write it out and then you just read it.
Yeah, but
you
I
just
need
do voiceover.
I need the video editing program still, and the same issues.
You get DaVinci Resolve. It's free.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Or we just talked about it. It's real simple.
Yeah,
Just like that. Just 100% do that.
Not promote, not advertise, but check out DaVinci Resolve. It's free.
Don't give Adobe money.
Oof.
I'm stuck in my contract with them. Adobe, stop stealing it with AI. Stop it.
Get called out. Suck it, Adobe.
AI's dumb.
Dumb. We'll be back next week with some more gaming news and SummerSlam stuff because I'm officially
And Comic Con.
and Comic Con. Yeah, that's gonna be wild.
But yeah, and SummerSlam.
And SummerSlam because I got 8 days officially until I start packing up to leave and fly out to Detroit. So get hype.
Oh yeah, you're going like early. I was like, it's in 8 days. That doesn't make sense.
No, yeah, I'm going down for a
I
week.
was like,
seeing
that's
all
like
the
Monday or Monday and Tuesday. What?
yeah, no, seeing all the old
Wait, so are you
Michigan
gonna
things.
try to go to like the? Can you go to like the press events and shit like that are out? Are those free and stuff?
That I don't know. I guess we kind of talked about going a day early and going to SmackDown the night before. See how money is, just getting like cheap nosebleed tickets. Yeah, I haven't looked into the press stuff. That'd be kind of fun though. I guess I should start looking into that because that would be
Yeah,
unique.
because I know I just don't know if they're like free. You just first come first serve type thing. You show up, here you are. Because hey, might as well, right?
I know there is some smaller kind of like meet and greet signings popping up around the area now. From like, I think we were talking about maybe going to Jeff Hardy's thing. That's like 20 minutes away from my buddy's house at a comic shop. So kind of looking
Oh
at stuff
hell
like
yeah!
that. But we'll fill it out. Got
Oh
a whole
yeah, I
week.
bet there's like there's like the indie scene probably also shows up for SummerSlam in a way, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people are there, so you run a show in the area, kind of. People are more willing to go.
Exactly.
So we'll be
It's fun.
talking about that next week, right before I head
Yeah.
out and leave. Till then,
Woo.
thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking us out. Check out Kyle's stream tomorrow, Bioshock. We'll be all over the internets. Peace.